All right, so a rabbit walks into a bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he says, "Hey, I'd like some hops."
Ladies and gentlemen, wine and wisdom. How you like our cold opening? Yes,
Yeah.
this is the internet's wisest podcast. I am your host, the Matt Kane, and this week I am joined by the accidental spaceman, a.k.a. Bryan Johnson,
Bryan
a.k.a.
Johnson.
Bryan Thompson, also known as Bryan Thomas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
look at that. He got all of them.
I got them all.
Every single one of my secret operative names.
Your aliases?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah.
How the hell are you?
Pretty all right. As good as you
Yeah.
can be, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Well, if this is your first time watching and or listening, we appreciate the love. This show is all about getting wiser, right? Learning about life, getting to the truths of the human experience so we can learn from each other and ultimately grow from each other, right? Isn't that really what it's all about? Like, to me, life is just a series of learning, a series of growing. And what better way to do that than by drinking wine?
And listening to random people babble on about stuff they probably don't know. But
yeah, but
it might resonate with you.
and that's
you
all that matters, is you never really know
Yeah.
what you're gonna glean from something, man. And that's what it's
Yeah.
all about. I love wisdom. I love learning. I mean, shit.
For sure.
That's why that's why I have a podcast all about it. Wine and Wisdom. Check us out, guys. Anchor.fm/Wine and Wisdom. Wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe. Smash that subscribe button down there on YouTube. Leave us a rating.
Like button.
Smash it. Yeah. Leave us a rating, a review, wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date with the ins and the outs, the lefts and the downs, the rights and the lefts with Wine and Wisdom.
It's a lot of directions.
Yeah. Let's get it, because, life has a lot of different directions, doesn't it now? Bryan. All right, my man. Bryan is drinking water.
Yeah.
His drink of choice. Not mine.
Well, actually,
Uh-oh.
there's a reason for that.
Okay, well, I got to hear this.
Which leads into the first topic of the day.
Oh, so let me pour first.
Yeah, of course.
We got to do this. Do you like
Perfect form.
Do you like ASMR? I ask everybody this.
I can't say that I do.
Okay.
But I feel like I've heard I'd be pretty good at it though.
Like
I've
scratch,
got,
yeah.
Well, like more like I have like a soothing voice,
Oh.
It's like I could get like really close and be like,
Yeah.
Hey,
My name's Bryan Johnson, the accidental spaceman.
yeah,
How you doing? All
doing
right.
great.
So what were you saying, man?
So, I actually can't drink alcohol because of the medication I'm on. And we don't really I don't know how how strict that is. But it's basically I'm on a very, I don't know, I guess a type of antidepressant. And you're really not supposed to drink on any of them, but apparently this one is a big one.
Oh.
Because alcohol on any antidepressant can kind of, make you go a little bit not normal. But supposedly this one can, you could get, psychotic or something. So.
Well, we wouldn't want that.
It's called Wellbutrin.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I'm using the generic version, which is
Bad Butrin?
Bupropol or something like that. So now you know, if you like to drink and you're depressed.
Drink more. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
you know.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm just fucking.
No.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
I tried that. It's just too much money.
Yeah.
To drink.
Right.
But yeah, so, if you're thinking and you like to drink, don't talk to your doctor. Maybe not. Don't get that one.
So, that being said, that's good, because that's good. We're gonna circle back to that.
Yeah.
But that being said, who the hell is Bryan?
Yeah, I am Bryan. I don't like my name very much. I guess I don't know. I feel like it's just a very typical like boring name, and then the last name's Thomas, so it's like wow, two first names. What a guy. But you know that's okay. So I kind of let people just call me whatever comes to mind. I like video games. I like reading, which is new because I hadn't read a book until a year ago. And I like anime, specifically anime girls. And
Yeah.
if reincarnation is real, I would definitely want to be, you know, isekai or whatever, however you
What's
pronounce
that?
it. It's basically like whenever they get transported into another world in an anime.
Oh, is that
So,
a
like,
specific anime term?
It's like a genre of anime. Of course, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's like isekai. And it's basically like, oh, I died and got reincarnated into this magical world, or I fell through a portal and fell into this magical world. So it's literally just like you're living a normal life,
Yeah.
and then something happens and you get thrust into this crazy world.
Huh.
Which that time I got reincarnated as a slime is an anime and manga about that very thing, that he died and got reincarnated into a magical world as a slime. And I think I want that. I do. I don't know about the slime bit, but the magical world bit and the anime girls, please.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you a
I'll
fan?
take those.
Are you a fan of how is it pronounced? Ecchi?
Ecchi? Yes. Yes. A little bit of hentai too.
And hentai.
Not gonna lie.
Google,
Sometimes.
Google that one, folks, when you get a chance. Maybe not you kids, but
Yeah, maybe don't. Well, unless you know.
unless you like tentacles, you know.
It's not strict.
I know that's the stereotype. Is all
Yeah, it
tentacles
is, it
everywhere
is.
and stuff. Interesting.
But yeah, I'm definitely what you would call a weeb, I guess.
Okay, so listen, I'm already learning so much. Like, first off, what the hell's a weeb?
So a weeb is basically like. It's weird because from what I understand, it's just like a not Japanese cultured person who is like way too much into anime. And I'm not like weird about it, you know. And you know, no, I don't mean to be like, oh, people who are super into anime are like weirdos, you know, like that's awesome, that's your passion. But like I don't, you know, dress up as things or like, you know, run around or go to cons or anything. But I probably would if I could afford it, honestly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm just not.
Looks like a good time.
I'm not there yet.
Um,
But yeah, it's pretty much just somebody who's like super into anime.
that makes sense. No, I just never heard that term, but I know a lot of weebs.
Or it's weeaboo sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guest that was on the last episode, he's really big in anime, so it's funny that 2 episodes in a row
Yeah,
we're
very
talking
nice.
about anime. Yeah, and I'm a fan. You know, I've been a fan. I started watching anime in my teen years, and I've seen a lot of. I wouldn't say I'm like super. I wouldn't say I'm a weeb.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. It's just a form of storytelling.
Yeah.
It's just another visual medium that I enjoy. What's your favorite anime?
See, that's difficult because like I feel like such a stereotypical person.
I like
but
Death Note.
I do like Death
It's great. There's nothing wrong with
Like-
there's a reason things are popular is because they're good.
Yeah, I
well,
mean,
usually.
like Death Note's so good. Death Note was the first anime that I ever watched. So I was the same. I was just like some of you might be, where they were like, man, anime's like, it's stupid. It's all about like
Yeah, like,
boobies.
what?
And some of them are about boobies.
Yeah.
And those ones are good too.
And those are called ecchi.
And those are called ecchi. But that was, you know, my view. And then I watched Death Note and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually better than a lot of TV, like just shows or movies that I've ever seen. And I was like, show me more. And then, you know, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, that one I mentioned, Slime. That's not. It's pretty good for like being like just funny. It's actually like pretty good.
You know what's funny is every now and again when something happens in my life that works out in my favor, like small shit, like there's a light that I hate and right when I get to it, it turns green. I'll go lucky. You know, like in Death Note when what the hell, the Shinigami, the
Ryuk?
yeah, when he would was Light's Shinigami,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, something would happen beneficial in Light's life, and he would go lucky like that. So
I don't know. I watched the dub version. So I guess, see that that's. But I'm trying to learn Japanese right now. But that's a different thing.
Watashi wa sakoshi nihongo no hasemasu ka?
Rorishiru, taberu.
I know databayo. I know kuso. No, that's like shit, right?
I said I cook, I eat.
Oh, I said I know a little bit of Japanese. Watashi wa sakoshi no hasemasu ka?
Very cool.
Very good. Well, hell yeah, anime is fucking great, guys.
It is. It is very cool.
Yeah,
if you're thinking about, if you're like, whoa, anime's stupid.
You're stupid. No, I'm just kidding.
And I would never be interested in that. Watch the first episode of Death Note. It's 23 minutes or something like that.
It's great.
If you're not feeling it by the end of the first episode, you don't gotta.
Or find a different genre of anime.
Yeah, but I just feel like Death Note is like that perfect thing where you're like,
because it's good, but it's got mass appeal.
Yeah.
Not like Elfen Lied, which is one of my favorites, which is like
Elfen Lied was wild.
It's fucking great. It's wild though, but it's great. Yeah. So I can quote a couple now here. I'm no weeb, but
I don't actually know that many.
Yeah.
I just watched High School DxD again, which
I don't know what that is.
It's an ecchi. It was great.
My niece likes My Hero Academia.
Okay.
I feel like that's one of the really popular ones.
Yeah, that's the one right now.
Which I get. Like I watched when I was younger. The really popular one was Naruto, which is not bad. There's definitely ones that are way better than it, but it's just problem with a lot of these animes, dude. There's just so many episodes. Like, how many does One Piece have? Hundreds? 1,000? I don't know.
At least 400.
Yeah, and Naruto had
like 1,000.
Yeah, I mean a lot of them are filler. So do your research. Don't watch the filler because I think they're garbage.
It's
filler. It doesn't follow the manga.
Yeah, true. Yeah, a lot of times.
My time is so valuable. I don't want to fucking waste it on filler. It's called filler for a reason.
Just
like the shit
the void.
Yeah, filler like the shit they put in cheese or elbow break.
Yeah,
that's like cheese and hot dogs or whatever to like cellulose.
Yeah,
it's filler. It's not
because hot dogs on their own are trash. Like hot dogs are just terrible. Like why do? So like they have to fill them full of like cheese and jalapenos to convince you to eat them, and like nobody's talking about that.
I don't want to talk about hot dogs, so let's go into some wisdom. But no, so Bryan is from what I've gathered and known you for a few months, we met at a bachelor party, right? And we bonded, dude.
Guy.
But it's interesting. You're definitely a cool dude, a unique guy, and I like you got a good personality, and it's always fun. I can kind of tell people that are into anime and stuff, like in video games. You can always tell, like personality wise.
I feel like they're just more like out.
Yeah, it's great.
Not so much outgoing, but
right.
Comfortable.
For sure. Let's talk like some psychological shit.
Yeah.
Because we were actually coming back from a film set the other day, and we started getting deep in our discussion, as we do. And I'm like, whoa, bro, save it for the cast. So, tell me, kind of expand upon what we were talking about. Give some context, and let's go from there.
Of course. So, I obviously, like a lot of other people, had mental illness for like a long time. And for a very long time, like, oh, you're a man, like, not so much that I was ever like super manly. It's just like, nah, like you're fine, like it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. And then it was always like super strange, growing up, everybody could like find like the joy in things, and I was always like, what are you talking about? Everything's terrible. And so, literally just recently, I decided, like, all right, it's time. Like, let's try therapy. And I didn't go to many, I'll be honest. Mostly because I went to, I think, 8 appointments, and then they gave me a bill for $600. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to be sad, bro. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I was at least able to find out that I have general anxiety and persistent depressive disorder, which the technical term is dysthymic disorder, I believe. And
Do you know how to spell that?
I think it's D-Y, or wait, no, it's Disthymic, I believe.
Dysthymic, okay.
Dysthymic, yeah. And I have kind of a more, I don't want to say severe, but it's a more hardcore version of it, basically, and it's persistent. So like people who have depression, they'll be all right, and then they'll go into an episode of depression, and then that's bad. For me, I am always depressed. Every second of every day, it's from mild to moderate to terrible. But every day I have it, so it's very difficult to even just like be content with like anything, like, just day to day, like anything. And then some days like, oh well, like it'll be going fine, fine enough. And then I'll get off work one day, and then literally just like lay in bed and cry for hours, like no specific reason. So we found out about that, what that actually was, like why am I just this strange creature of a man? and so I got on that generic version of Wellbutrin that I talked about previously, and it helps. I wish it helped more.
Yeah.
Because it's still, I don't have the deep despair anymore. Well, not as much, at least, but it still doesn't, like, day to day, like, I mean, just yesterday, like,
right.
Like, yeah. I wanted to cry yesterday, I don't know why. It just, like, comes up. You don't get a break from your own brain, and then it just kind of starts to overflow.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, how we interface with reality is everything is mental.
Oh, yeah.
And, and there's still so much, like, we're learning a lot about brain chemicals and chemistry and all that. But there's still so much we don't know.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. And I don't think, honestly, personally, I don't think, psychology and psychiatric work has all the answers. There's still so much that, like, obviously, I'm a fan of therapy. I think we all need it. We all need that catharsis. We all need to be heard. We all need to be listened to. We all need to just, like, trace our fingers on, like, everything that we have going on mentally in our life. Mm-hmm. I think that's important, too. But I think, you're the... I'm not met anybody that has, dysthymic disorder. That's a new one for me.
Nobody's
you hear about general anxiety, you hear about depression, but obviously dysthymic is something a whole
it's
nother
a new thing.
Ball of worms.
So as we said before, jeez, my throat.
I heard that sounds like a frog's in there.
Noise. Yeah. As we said before, I mean, this is, I'm not a scientist,
right.
But if you're feeling that way, you might have that, and it's worth checking out. And like I said, I didn't go to the therapist for long, not because I didn't want to, but just because it wasn't financially
feasible.
Yeah. But it was still nice to talk to a professional and explain what was happening, and then have them be like, "You aren't crazy," basically. Like, I didn't think I was crazy, but like, you aren't whiny. You aren't, like, there's a reason for this. And even that is just validating enough to be able to say, like, because whenever I'm, like, a downer all the time, like, I can tell my friends get annoyed. I can't, because, like, some days are bad days. And it's like,
it's not like you're choosing, like, I'm just going to be, like, depressed today, guys. Yeah. Don't mind me. Like, no, it's not like volitionally you want to be sad. Yeah. Nobody does. Right, the number one number one human sad goal is happiness. Right,
that'd be cool.
We want pleasure. We want to eschew pain. So that's what's really interesting about this is, like, you know, would you say, is it just like fucking, the analogy, pardon, it's not the best, but like, was it fucking Linus in the Peanuts, where he would just like, a rain cloud would follow him everywhere he goes?
Yes.
Like, is it kind of like that? It's just like an overall tone of your life is just more murky, more dark.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a fine analogy. People like, it's weird because I have to explain to people, even before like I found out, like if somebody got me a gift for like Christmas or my birthday, like I don't get excited.
Yeah.
You know, and so like over the years I've been like, sweet, like you have to pretend like this is so cool, and it is so cool.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the times I love what they got me. It's awesome. But it's just like, like in my brain I love this, but
right
outward it's like, yeah, cool, sweet.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to give that performance almost to like
right
loved ones and family members, and be like, no, you did a great job. Yeah. So I mean, that's because it also it gets into that too.
Yeah.
It gets into your good things, and like,
right.
you know, like even your good things are like, these are supposed to be my fun times. These are supposed to make me happy, and right afterwards it's just right back in.
So, but there is that period. There is that reprieve, if you will, of joy. Like when, so like, say you're doing something you fucking love, like playing video games, right? So you just like, bam, like the height of like, oh man, this is awesome, great experience. You have joy, right? It's there, and then you go back into more of that state, that depressive state. Is that what I'm?
I mean, like I wouldn't even describe it as joy.
Okay, what is it?
You know,
just
like it's just like content.
Oh, okay.
Like truthfully, like,
yeah,
you know, one of the few things that just quiet the mind are video games, which is why I like them so much.
Yeah.
And in those moments, it's not like overjoyed or happy to be playing. It's just simply like everything else is gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, is it like the noise, the chatter kind of in your mind abates?
I just like throw myself into that world.
And escapism.
Yeah.
So you can escape and live vicariously through that character, or immerse yourself in that world. And for that moment or moments, however long it lasts, there's a bit of a reprieve of that depressive state. I'm not saying it's like pure bliss. But the cloud lifts for a little bit.
Yeah. The cloud stops raining.
Okay.
That's what I would say is that, like, you know, oh cool, something sweet happens, or like you have a good day, and the cloud, it didn't rain that whole day, and you're like, sweet. And then the next day it's like thunder and lightning. You know? And with no like reason.
Right. You know? Well, that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of the thought behind escapism. That's kind of the purpose, is that you can escape, forget the bullshit you have going on in your life in that moment, and elevate kind of your consciousness to another level where there is, where you can forget about the other things, and there can be more of a state of joy, and I know for you, like how much when we've talked about Mass Effect, which we'll get into in a second, how much like joy I see on your face. So I know like it's there. But yeah, like it's one of the things, and they talk about it in Buddhism, is like they call the middle way, which is like you don't get too high in your highs, but also you don't get too low in your lows. So it seems like you don't get too high in your highs, like almost out of your control. But you do get too low on your lows. So there's, you know, a term called equanimity, which is basically evenness of mind, steadiness of temper, which basically, you know, it's like I was saying, like with the middle way is where, you know, like as a human being, you should feel every like emotion. You should feel it to the utmost. Like you should be able to love, live, and enjoy life to the fullest and experience everything without clinging to it, without thinking, well, that video game's going to truly make me happy.
Right.
And I know that, and so clearly you don't have that issue. But I see it kind of on the other side of the spectrum, where it is like on the other side is, so if that's the high point of the middle way, like the clinging, the other aspect is the pushing away of bad feelings, like where, you know, people will, oh, this is such a negative feeling, this is pain, and I want to get it away from me. right? That's the other part of the middle way, is avoidance of pain. But if you cling or avoid anything, it's gonna get you. Like you have to
it
feel
comes
it.
back.
Yeah,
Like
so
it comes for you.
right. So that's
It's
the
like,
thing is, like whether it's in your control or not, like how to not like get too high in the highs. But I guess for you, it's now working through the low of the lows, which is tough. And it's like, like you said, what I found was really interesting. You said, kind of quieting the mind. So video games help. So it's almost like a meditative state. In that regard. Yeah. Have you ever tried formal meditation?
Well, I mean, to the best of my ability. Yeah. I'm not exactly great at it, but I have tried it before, and it was like a fun feeling, honestly. Like, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because on top of that, like, I have ADD, so
yeah,
it's like
and I think,
but I was able to accomplish it. So
that's great. And a few things with that is a lot of people put too much pressure on meditation that, and like there is no. There's no like one way to meditate. Like there's a bunch of different ways you can meditate. Like we don't have to have such a rigid. It's not sitting fucking lotus and going om and all that shit, or having transcendental meditation or whatever. The best way that I learned was a meditation called EM, Effortless Meditation. Effortless. I kind of like that. Yeah, like for me, basically what it means is you just follow your breathing until, and that's the thing is like we have such a rigid form of structure of meditation. You have to find, just like anything in life, man, you got to find something that works for you. If you don't like doing it, one of two things: either you're never going to do it, or you have to find a way to make it enjoyable, or you have to force yourself to do it so that it becomes habit. Like,
right.
So that's a hard thing. So how can you, and I've helped people meditate before, and I say just start with like 5 minutes a day. And don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't go like, okay, I don't want any thoughts, because then that's a thought right there in and of itself. Basically, what happens is you just see what pops up, and basically you get kind of start to transcend the time-space locus of things. I don't want to get too meta into it, but what happens is that instead of you being the actor in the play, is now you're more the director. You're watching it, right? So you can watch that thought arise. There it goes. And you look at it and you say, okay, bye, and then it goes away. You don't get caught in it. You don't it's like jumping on a train and you don't know where it's going to take you.
Yeah.
So what happens is when you jump on that train, you get off at the next exit. So when that thought arises, you don't get caught in it. That's basically what happens, is as you meditate, you can quiet the mind by, you have less thoughts and you don't get stuck in them as much. So it's just something to try. All you guys out there, like, I'm a big proponent of it. I've been meditating for, 10 plus years. I think it's like, if more people meditated, and I could help my dad big time. My dad, who was on a podcast, I believe episode 7, go check that out in the archives guys. My dad, my dad struggled with alcoholism, and he was addicted to painkillers, right, for majority of his life. And then within the last, we started meditating roughly around the same time, about 10 years ago. I introduced it to him, and it changed him. Like he does it. He's more of an ardent meditator than I am. He does it twice a day, 20 minutes, and if he doesn't meditate, if he does anything that day, he makes sure he meditates. Do you know what I mean? That's how important it is to him. That's how much it's helped him.
Like a cleanse.
Yeah,
Cleaning
we all
off
need
the
it.
day.
Exactly, we all need it. What happens in life is you go throughout your day, and you accumulate experiences. Sorry, I'll shut up here in a second about meditation.
Good.
You see, I'm kind of passionate about it. And what happens is you go throughout the day and you accumulate experiences, and you don't fully digest them all. You may digest a few, but then they get stuck. They get stuck in your intestines. Or another way to look at it is you have a garden. Your mind is a garden. And what happens if you don't tend to a garden?
Weeds everywhere.
It gets overgrown with weeds. So it's the same thing with your mind. If you don't pull some of those weeds, what they call adventitious defilement, right? There's a good one for you.
Oh my.
If you don't pull those weeds, they're going to overgrow your mind. So you have to. It's upkeep. I personally feel like if more people meditated in this world, we would have less issues, less violence. We would have more empathy, more compassion, more understanding. Because when you come to understand yourself, then you can truly give love to yourself and then understand others. Man. So meditate, you motherfuckers.
Which is another thing, loving other people. That's another thing that I like about video games. Just real quick.
Yeah.
I think that video games are a good way to show a different perspective also, because it's one thing to watch a show about something or a movie and be like, that's fun, but whenever you're playing as a character, and you see the other side of the story, like
Yeah.
because in Witcher the elves are being like
Yeah.
oppressed like horribly, and it's like, oh well, I guess I never thought about it from the perspective of the elves. That kind of sucks.
Right.
Like,
Dude, you bring up so many good points. What happens is like then you get, and it's the same thing with film. And actually, there's the potential in video games for me a more in-depth experience in film because you are actually controlling that character, whereas in just film, yeah, my neighbor's like, hey, Ryan and Matt podcast, let's use our power tools.
He's got something to say.
Sounds like a giant fart,
Yeah.
an elongated fart. But anyways, with video games, you have the potential to control the actions of that character, as opposed to in film where you are more of a third party witnessing what's going on. And I remember Roger Ebert was like, yeah, rest in peace, obviously, but he goes, yeah, video games can never reach the point of cinema, never like reach that level of storytelling like cinema. They shouldn't be in the same category. I'm like, dude, have you ever played insert game? One of my favorites, Mass Effect. Have you ever played? No, then you don't get it. It is a cinematic experience that's completely immersive. And when you're in those characters, you have to make moral, ethical decisions. Right? Like you see these people being oppressed. Well, that's an analogy for maybe oppression of minorities or oppression of maybe a smaller, a minority ethnic or religious group, right? So you have to make those more ethical decisions. And what does that do? It's like a mirror onto your own life of like, well, how would I act in that moment? If it happened in my real life. So that's what's great. That's why I fell in love with movies primarily, and to a certain extent a little bit video games, is because then I look at it in an in-depth level in terms of like introspection of like, how is that preparing me for life, right? This is an analogy for life. Yes, it's escapism. Yes, it's not real. Yes, it's fun to play in a sandbox virtually. But if I look at it deeper, if I peel back the layers, the veil, I understand this is actually preparing me for life.
Yeah, I mean, they prepare you to listen. I mean, truthfully, because especially, people, whenever people who don't like video games think about video games, they think it's like Call of Duty multiplayer or Fortnite, and not saying anything bad about those, but they're not.
They suck.
They're not mentally engaging.
Yeah.
They might better your reflexes, and that's awesome.
Right.
But you also maybe need to toss in some role-playing games in there. Just as we were talking about. I mean, it really, you can go into a situation in a game just like you can in life, thinking, I know how this is going to play out. That's the bad guy. We need to get that guy. And then you go talk to the bad guy, and you find out they're like, well, I mean, I guess I'm the bad guy, but the person that you're with is also kind of the bad guy. And then you're like, well, why can't this be simple? Well, because it's like life. It's never that simple. And that's what I like about those games,
Yeah. And that's why it's called a dilemma. Because, wow, I thought I muted. I did mute.
Unprofessional.
I know. But no, what I'm saying,
Cool. I'm like
turn my silent mode on. So yeah, like nothing is ever truly black and white. They're 50 Shades of Gray. But like you have to make a decision in a game, and it's like, well, if I do this, fuck. If I do this, fuck. What's the lesser of two fucks?
Yeah.
Or what's the that's what's interesting. Like we were talking about, like, and let's get into it right now, man, because we're already over halfway in on our podcast. I think we should get into the Mass Effect.
Oh boy.
Well, and the reason we're going to talk about this because we really wanted to podcast and at least have a segment of the podcast on this, because we talked for what 3 hours after obviously we had a couple libations, a couple gimmicks. At least I did. You were just high on life, and then we started talking about Mass Effect after the bachelor party for like 3 hours. Everybody else went to sleep. We're just sitting out back on the patio, talking about the greatest video game of all time. I mean, I think it's
the best trilogy.
yeah.
It's not my favorite game
Of all time.
of all time.
What's your favorite game?
That
of all
would
time?
be Witcher: The Wild Hunt.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I have not played it.
Again, I'm stereotypical, but it's so good.
Witcher: The Wild Hunt. Where does that fall in the chronology of the game?
3.
It's
the
Witcher.
third-
It's 3.
It's the third game, but the games are based off of the books, and they come after. So like you could play the third one without playing the first two, and that's fine. I did that, and you don't miss anything. Like they don't. It's not like you just they might say something in passing, and you're like I don't know what that is, but it's like a 300. I mean, if you want to go that hard, it's like a 300-hour game.
Oh, that's a lot.
So like you're fine. Like if you didn't play the first two, like at the very least it's like 150 hours that you can get through it.
Smokes.
If you do like all the main quests and all the side quests. But if you want to do like everything,
Completionist.
if you want to go like completionist and like get all like the
Every
little question marks on the map, that's like 300 hours right there.
Lordy. Yeah, that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, but what a great, like, what is it? Think about it. What is it about? Getting like philosophical. What is it fucking about The Witcher that you love?
I mean, obviously it's medieval fantasy, dark medieval fantasy, which is like probably my favorite genre. Lord of the Rings. I mean, come on.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
I have not watched it yet.
I know that's why I asked because I knew you didn't. I just wanted people to throw shade. Wait, he likes that stuff. He hasn't seen GOT.
I'm the worst. But yeah, first off, there's that, and then also, it's brief rundown. It's just about a mutant who is, equivalent to the monsters that he hunts, in the people's eyes. But he really ends up just being like an everyday dude with like some stunted emotions, basically. And like
and bitchin' gray hair.
Yeah, white hair.
White hair, my bad.
White as milk. That's what they say.
Is that what they say? Okay.
Yeah. And he ends up getting basically like an adopted daughter that now he has to protect from from the horrors of the world, And he's just a guy making his way through life, trying to protect his weird makeshift family, while specifically not trying to get involved, but he can't stop himself from getting involved, which is something that Witchers aren't supposed to do. They're not meant to do. They're supposed to remain neutral no matter what. And
but his moral yearning for good won't let him.
Yeah, well, because they say that like Witchers exist to fight evil. And then he's like, okay, but that hag raven is just as evil as that king over there. I mean, that king's beheaded 4 of his wives. What makes him any different? That creature can't think. That creature's not sentient. It just kills people because they go in its area. Yeah. Whereas the humans are terrible.
Yes.
So it's kind of, and it's even a quote from the books and extended on in the game, which is basically just like evil is evil, greater, lesser, middling, it's all the same. If I had to choose between one evil and another, I'd rather not choose at all.
Very nice. Deep.
So he's just a dude.
And that's the thing. That's what's great is, and if you look, are you a fan of like the Marvel movies and whatnot?
Yeah.
So if you look at, Marvel's done a great job by embedding philosophical concepts into pop culture. Even though it is fluff and it's popcorn, like Marvel movies, on the whole, if you really peel back the layer, this is why it works. This is why Marvel movies works and why I would defend them. Is because the characters work, and meaning these characters are real people. Even though they're superheroes wearing green, yellow, blue, and all that shit, spandex and whatnot. Yeah. They're still real people, meaning they have real emotions, real feelings, real thoughts, real desires. So what's really intriguing is Marvel has done a great job of posing, these moral issues, these human issues, these human things that we all struggle with, but they've embedded them into pop culture with superheroes. Right. That's what's brilliant.
Which is more fun.
if they were just like these superheroes that were impervious and perfect, no one can identify with that. No one can feel that. So that's what's great is how the way that Marvel's interweaved, and they have great writers, and that's where it starts, is with the writing.
Right.
They've interwoven these philosophical concepts and constructs and theories and mixed them with humanity and great character development to create these great stories. It doesn't matter where it takes place or what happens. What's that human story behind it all?
Right.
That's what makes it, bro. And that's my point. Is same thing with Witcher. Oh, guns, man. Now, that's the point with Witcher.
Right.
It does the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing that Mass Effect.
Yeah, it's this amazing thing that gets you engaged, and then without you even noticing it, you're becoming a better person. I mean, truthfully, like you may not even notice it, but whenever you come across as an example, you can finish up here and collect your gold or your whatever your reward was going to be. But, you could collect that and leave, but they're doing something bad. So you could also stop them but not get your gold or the stuff that you were supposed to get.
Yeah.
And it's okay, well, obviously you don't want to be bad. So, but there's those there's those decisions, and I think that people see video games, movies, TV, maybe even books as just simply entertainment, and I think that holds a lot of people back.
Exactly.
Because they're messages in disguise.
Exactly. I guess that's a great summarization of it all, is messaging and meaning in disguise, and that's what film can do really well too. Is they can have the meaning along with while the story is being told. It's just like art. When you watch a piece of art, there's beauty and meaning simultaneously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In
that experience, whereas life, with the mundanity of life, if you really truly dig deep, you can find meaning in everything. But it's only comes up in certain situations, the birth of a child or a funeral or a wedding. Do you know what I mean? That's when it can really push itself to the forefront. But when you watch a film or play a video game, it's there in everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always a message to get across, and there's always something to take from something, usually. And it's watch that thing that you didn't think you would be into. Play that thing.
Just give it a shot.
Read that book, because we fall into these like he said, the mundane of life. You fall into what you're used to, and then there's a book about or a movie about something that you're like, I don't care about that. Well, I mean, maybe you will. Yeah. After you watch it, maybe you'll leave it and you'll be like, I have grown as a person.
And that's it, dude. And that's the thing, is if we all were a little more open-minded and willing to try new things. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Even if our fucking ancestors, if they never emerged from the cave, dude, we'd still be eating, insects out of each other's hair. So, you have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to be open-minded to new experiences. For instance, I did something on set when I was acting last night that I'd never done before. Yeah. And when somebody asked me, hey, you want to do this? At first, I'm like, what? And I don't want to spoil anything because it'll come out. I want to shock you guys. But at first, I was like, wait, what? No. And then I'm like, well, hold on. This is a new experience for me. This is something that I can learn and grow for, right? There's a quote that I kind of live by. It's called grist for the mill, which means that everything that happens in life is for your own benefit, to make you grow, make you learn, make you become one, whatever. So I'm like, dude, I'll just chalk it up as an experience.
I did that.
Yeah, I did
much.
It, right?
Yeah.
So, dude, that's the thing, man, is how you can grow from everything. I want to get into Mass Effect real quick because we haven't really touched on it.
I do have a closing.
Oh, yeah.
But we can go into Mass Effect.
No, is this with
just mental?
Oh yeah, please do, man.
Okay.
No, like
I don't care. It could
your,
be at the very end.
It's your show, man.
But really, just we have seen more of space. Like, we understand more of space, and we have seen 15% of the ocean, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. And we still don't understand the brain. Like you imagine that. Like, we've gone to the moon several times. We've discovered that there's fish in the ocean that shouldn't even be able to exist. And we still can't come to terms with how the brain works. Like, we can't figure it out. So, like, just know that you aren't, like, you're just one of those, I don't know, maybe you're just one of those fish, you know? Like, you're not abnormal. We just don't understand you yet. And that's okay. And hopefully, like, we can work towards that. The brain is literally an enigma. And you're just you know? And it's nothing to be ashamed of. Obviously, don't be a bad person. Like, don't do bad things. Obviously, if you're like a sociopath, then, like, well, it's nothing to be ashamed of to be a sociopath. It's not. Because psychopaths, sociopaths, they're okay. Like, they're just people with a mental illness, and that's fine.
Until they act out on their...
And actually, most psychopaths don't
Yeah.
kill anybody because, well, what do they have to gain from that? Usually they end up becoming CEOs or surgeons or something like that. I mean, psychopaths don't kill people. You know, they're so vilified in media, but they have nothing to gain from that. So like, they're really just people, and you know, obviously don't do bad things, but aside from that, like, you're just you. And find the help that you need if you can. And there's somebody, like, willing to listen. And even if they don't know what to say, like, they're there, man.
It's beautiful, man. Yeah, like, for sure, dude. And that's, I'm glad you touched on it. Like, the piece of, like you're not in it alone.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is a lot of times when you suffer from something like that, you may think, like, oh, dude, it's just me. Like, why me? Why am I so different? Why is this affecting me? If it's not it's not affecting anybody else, but I know it is. Like, it affects more people than you realize, and it's okay. Like, let's normalize, like, it being okay for you to even, like, have some days where you feel just, like, ready to take on life, and some days where it's like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
Like, and that's all right. Like, and don't be so hard on yourself when you have the good days and the bad days. Shit, I didn't even know. Go ahead.
And bringing it, like, kind of bringing it full circle to media. Media needs to be better about that. They need to actually do research about what they're talking about. Stop vilifying people with mental illness, because that also doesn't help.
But that doesn't sell the papers, man. That doesn't sell.
It doesn't make
the headlines.
The
dirty laundry is what sells.
But that's how we can be better. In fact, there's I wish I could remember. I'm not gonna say the culture because I don't remember. But there is a culture where I believe it was an Asian culture, and they believed in a legend that, like, this witch would come and sit on you while you were sleeping and basically suffocate you. More people there die in their sleep than, like, anywhere else. You know? So it's like the mind has such a powerful grasp, because, like, they start to have something, they dream. They simply dream, and, like, they look into it, like do a, autopsy, and they're like, bro, this dude just died. Like, but, like, they legitimately think that, like, they had a dream, and their brain convinced them that this person was killing them. And so it's like, well, you see this stuff in the media, you see all these things, and even subconsciously, like, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily a bad person.
No, not at all.
But if you were like, okay, well, I mean, I just spent 2 hours watching this sociopath kill, like, 100 people. okay, like that might happen, like very rarely, but usually they're just trying to hang out. Like they're really just trying to live their lives, and that's like going back to media and the messages that they can send. We need to do better, you know, and stop making people with schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a huge one.
Yeah.
Because we actually, another thing about other places, their schizophrenic episodes are less violent and mean than they are in like here in the UK and stuff like that.
Well, even in some cultures, like they're like people that have like psychosis like that are almost worshipped as like
and
I know for certain places in India, something that's like they're operating on a different plane of consciousness than we are, but we may look at them as schizophrenic,
right?
But they're like so far beyond on another plane of reality.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But you look at him and like, dude, this guy doesn't even bathe.
He speaks to the gods.
Right, he speaks in tongues. Like, this guy is, lock him up. But no, actually, he might be the smart one.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but yeah, I mean, whenever you spend your life, like, seeing yourself, like, your own stuff being, like, vilified, then, you know, those places usually have those people usually have worse episodes. And they have those voices say like, "Oh, you should hurt yourself. You should hurt these people." And so like that is something that we need to change. We need to do our part and make sure that these people feel welcome in their own bodies, like, and around us. So
yeah, man, for shizzle. That's good, dude.
That's all I got.
We'll wrap up with some Mass Effect. We're almost done, bro.
Yeah, well,
this is
we
good.
can Mass Effect it up.
Let's just talk listen. So it's N7 for a reason.
You got your deep stuff out of me, all right?
Yeah.
Now it's my turn to have
for like
fun.
5 minutes. Just play. Let us play. Let us dance in the Leela. Fuck Mass Effect, dude. I remember. Here's the genesis for me. I think I told you this, but y'all can get in on the secret. Obviously, Mass Effect is a trilogy of games. There was one spin-off game called Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, you probably would know more about all this stuff than me, but feel free to jump in if you. But it's basically essentially a futuristic sci-fi RPG, action RPG. And I've always, as a kid, RPGs and fighting games were like my thing. And occasionally a platformer like fucking Mario and Donkey Kong Country and shit. But those were my jams, RPGs and fighting games. So I really got into RPGs around the time that Mass Effect was coming around, and I remember I was like, I think I was 18 or 19, so to tell you my age if you do the math. And I went to I just happened to go to Best Buy, and back when like you actually went to stores to buy video games and movies and stuff. And I remember walking through the video games, I'm like, I picked up.
Yeah, go ahead and pull that bad boy out.
On the Xbox 360, Mass Effect, right? There it is. Still got the OG.
Very nice.
When did this come out?
2007.
Yeah. Yep. I was working at Stutzman's Buy-Right, which is no longer in existence. Go back to a Chris Clem episode in the archives. We talked all about that one. I just remember like going, I'm like,
it's got space, it's got babes.
Space and babes and guns. I'm in.
Yeah.
Mature. Let's see what it's all about. Threw it in, and it was like, I know this, you can't see this, what I'm doing in my podcast, but I'm like staring at the screen with mouth agape, drool hanging out, like, holy shit, what is this all about?
It really is brilliant.
I mean, from the gameplay to clearly the story is so engaging.
The gameplay's like interesting.
But I enjoyed the combat system.
It's a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
With like space wizardness mixed in.
Yeah, but
like that's literally like
right.
you have like some superpower.
But the story, man, just it sucks you in and it doesn't let you out. Like, so then it's a trilogy of games, and I just remember going to the store and picked it up, and I was like, dude, like I told my friends, like, you got to check this out. And then I heard they're making a second, and I'm like, oh my god, and then a third, and so that was kind of my genesis to it. And then I've played I think I've beaten the first one 3 times. I think I've beaten them all 3 times. I think I did 3 playthroughs of all. Maybe the second one I did 4. I don't know. And I would, mess around. And like we were talking about earlier, like you can be and clearly I'm a fan of these games. I mean, I named one of my businesses after a status in the game. Paragon Martial Arts and Fitness. Go to ParagonMAF.com for more information if you're in the Cleveland, Akron, greater metropolitan area if you want to learn martial arts and fitness. So, but yeah, Paragon is like you can be a good guy, a Paragon, or you can be a renegade, a bad guy, right? So there's that moral choices that you have to make in the game, and it affects your story.
Yeah.
As you play through. What was your genesis? What's your origins for the game?
What's crazy is that like I don't have like I didn't go in and see it or anything like that. I just had. It's funny because I have this friend who's been a friend since high school. In middle school we didn't like each other, and then in high school we were in close proximity for a couple years, and then it just happened. So it's fun. It's funny how that happens. But anyway, he gives me a lot of things, a lot of the things that I've played, like Mass Effect, things that I've watched, like the show Hannibal, great show, go watch it. And he's like, yeah, like just in passing, like just in conversation, he's like, yeah, I've been doing or playing this, and I think it's pretty cool. I think you'd like it. And then like I'm like, all right, cool. Like, and so I pick it up, and I played it, and then like with most of those things, I like dive super deep, and I become a bigger fan than like he ever was. And he's like, he's like, bro, like, no, because I bought up like there's Mass Effect books, like I like this so much that I'm almost done with the second book.
Wow.
And so like I dive, and that's pretty much it. Like he just said like, on the school bus, one day he was like, yeah, I've been playing Mass Effect. I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. And I started playing it, and I mean, your choices from the first game carry over to the second game, into the third game. So like, that was like groundbreaking, back in 2007. I mean, whenever I think the second one came out around like 2010.
Yeah.
And then for that to happen, they were like, whoa, like this actually works, because I think games had tried to do that before, but it actually worked. And it's like super cool to see, like, hey, I did that. What? Hey, I know you. And that kind of adds to that realism of people recognizing you. I mean, that's perfect immersion right there.
Absolutely. Of
someone that you literally spent 10 minutes talking to in the first game, seeing them in the second game, and they're like, hey, let me buy you a drink because of how you helped me.
Or, hey, you killed all these people. Fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah, or they point a gun at you, and they're like, time to die.
You killed the, spoiler, Rachni Queen. Yeah.
Are you going to kill the Rachni Queen, dude?
Ask yourself that, guys. That will tell me. Maybe that should be, like, the question, like, for the future. Like, we should require all human beings to play Mass Effect, and then, like...
I'm telling you, like, Mass Effect is one of the perfect ones.
Instead of, like, are you vaccinated? It's like... Did you kill the Rachni Queen?
That's how we can tell
if somebody's good or bad, right?
still maybe get vaccinated.
But yeah, dude, like I could go on and on about.
Yeah, I mean, but that's one of the games that, like, I don't know. It literally puts you. It has every version of character. Is what I would describe it as, but it makes all of them likable. Mm-hmm. So like, and obviously I'm not going to spoil anything, but like, the cliches of characters, like, like Garrus,
tech guy, nerd.
Garrus is the bad boy, but he does have a moral code, but he doesn't like, he wants to go outside, the red tape of CSEC, which is like their police force in space in that area. And that's and you're like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you sound like, you sound crazy. But like because of that moral code and because of that loyalty, like he's still likable. Like all the characters, like they have their flaws, just like regular people,
just like humans.
and they like even the bad characters are like, wow, just a good character.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I just beat it again recently.
The whole trilogy.
The whole trilogy, literally just maybe a month or two ago.
How long did it take you start to finish?
I think it was about 90 hours.
So that's roughly 30 a game. So yeah, you're not doing a completionist. You're doing the main story with.
I mean,
but you're hitting a lot of the side quests, right?
Yeah, I do all the side quests, like all the story side quests. The first game has like those like question marks on the map, like I talked about.
Dude, those are
with Witcher, and I started doing those, and then I was
then you won't have a life.
Mm-mm.
I did that for the first playthrough, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why did I waste 100? It was like 100 hours.
It's not worth it, dude. Like I mean, well, I don't look up which missions matter because the game doesn't tell you that hey, this is actually an important mission disguised as another boring one. So like you might want to look up, okay, what missions do I actually have to play? Because those can be something to take with you in the trilogy, but most of them are.
But in life, you can't look up which things are important. You got to experience them first, right, Bry?
Yeah.
Be Rye. Got one in. Dude, Mass Effect.
So good. I play as FemShep.
FemShep. Look at that, man.
Jennifer
See,
Hale.
that's the other thing. He's exploring his feminine side in these video games. I have not had the courage. I almost did one time, but I didn't. I was like, I'm just gonna like give myself a mohawk. Maybe make myself like, non-binary or something. That's the thing in video games. Has there been video games where you can choose to be like?
Yes, actually, just recently, a game called Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh yeah, Keanu Reeves.
And regardless of everything else, I'm also disappointed. I'm not up in arms and grabbing a pitchfork, but I'm also disappointed. But I still think it's cool that they kind of like tried to give you the option because you can have it's not specific. You can have a female voice with a male body and female genitalia. So like you can mix and match to fit your preference, like your
that's cool
actual person, but and that also goes into like who you can romance.
Yeah.
So like there's characters that okay, well I'm not into that. So it's like, well no, I'm only interested if you have like the male body type. So I don't know, so it's interesting.
Very.
Hopefully we're leaning more towards that. I
sure.
always spend way too long customizing all my characters.
Me too.
And if I have the option, I always make a girl.
That's cool.
Just cause. I mean, it's
Why
not like weird. I just like to be cute, man. Like
and if you're anything, Brian, you're cute.
Thank you.
With those Harley Quinn socks.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you play like 800 video games that have white man, dark hair.
That's it.
Some stubble like this. Like, look at him, perfect protagonist, right there.
Hey, but I got long hair though, motherfucker. That's
shit.
That sets me apart.
Like an old time game, like the new Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
You'd be perfect.
Ezio.
So I like to change it up if I have the option and play as
a
female character. So.
Got it. Well, shit, Brian. Got any plugs? Any place where you want the peeps to sneak you? Check you out?
Always be plugging. I'm actually wearing my these sweatpants. They actually have my
bullshit.
My name.
Stand up, show it off.
Here. I don't know if. Oh man. I don't know if you can see.
The Accidental Spaceman.
Accidental Spaceman. Whatever. You can't see it.
So that's. You got custom sweatpants?
It's just kind of. So it actually happened through work. Like, this wasn't at all.
Yeah, you got to explain this one.
This wasn't at all like. I didn't go out and get these. But my team at work sometimes does like. Oh, like, let's get everybody something. So they did like shirts one time. And then they were like, hey, we're doing sweatpants. And what do you want them to say? And like, people put their names. And I was like, nah. And so I put Accidental Spaceman. And of course they were very confused. And then they were like, well, what makes you an accidental spaceman? And I said, wrong place, wrong time.
In space, bitch.
Yeah, it's a dumb joke. But yes, my media name is Accidental Spaceman. You can find me on Instagram. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really super into the media scene, but mostly YouTube. I am on the YouTubes. I also stream on Twitch and Glimish, which is a new streaming service.
Never heard of it.
Well, hey, let me go ahead and I know that I kind of know some of the people like working on it.
Oh, okay.
It's an open source streaming service. So open source is basically like it's not like owned by like some like conglomerate of a company, and anybody can step in and be like, hey, like I can make websites, and then like you could step in and talk to the people in the Discord and be like, hey, like I can do that, and then they'll be like, okay, cool. So like the people actively get a say in how this platform works.
Yeah.
So that has the potential to be very cool. It's also has less latency, so like faster response time. You know, because Twitch has like a 3-minute difference.
Really? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like you type something, and then they won't.
And then they go by, and then you go get a drink, you go pee, you come back, and it's like they see the chat. Yeah.
Whereas like it's literally like almost immediate. Like it's
That's
like
cool.
It's like a matter of seconds. Which I have no stake. I have no stake in Glimish at all. So this isn't like paid promotion, but I'm on there. So
righteous, brother.
So if you want to check it out, go ahead. It's in its infancy. Truthfully, it's got a lot of
Glimish.
It's got a lot of growth to do, but maybe you can help. Hop on over.
You heard it here first. And is your YouTube Accidental Spaceman?
Yes. Yeah.
Sick.
All of it's Accidental Spaceman.
Good. Consistent branding.
Yeah. I just haven't found a better name. Maybe
Dude,
you guys
great.
can help.
No. Fuck that. Go with it. It's great.
I just figured my favorite games were about space, Dead Space and Mass Effect. So like,
you're in.
Accidental Spaceman.
My man.
But yeah, if it's that specific, the capitals, capital A, S, and M. If YouTube's giving you trouble, but that's it.
So check him out. Make sure you also follow the Kane Action Team, and that's it, baby. Man, you look good, dude. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
You're a stud. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Talking and sharing your story.
Anytime.
And hopefully you guys learned and grew. I know I sure as hell did. All right, guys. And I guess until next time, Bryan, we're gonna have you back on, brother.
Hell yeah.
All right.
I'd like that.
Peace and love, baby. Stay wise.